So we've all been sitting around for the past couple of days, and I've been in my classroom getting stuff ready for our supposed return sometime in the future and trying to figure out something to do. And I figured, since I saw my webcam sitting there all lonely and I've got a fancy microphone that I ordered at the beginning of this year, I figured I'd put them to use. First of all, to make a video just to say hi. Hope you're doing well. Kind of weird times. But I bet you're looking for something to do. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, oh, cool, no school. And now 2 or 3 days into it, you're thinking, oh, man, I miss science. So here we go, a little bit of science. You know that we've planted some seeds in class. They're not doing so well because you're not here to give them love and care and water. And so you're going to plant a seed at home. You're going to water it just like we learned in class. And then when the seedling is viable, meaning, right, we're going to have a seed that's germinated, roots are going to grow first, then we have our stem and leaves. And these first couple of leaves that you'll see grow are not the true leaves. Those are the cotyledons, which we learned when we learned about cells. It's part of the seed, the baby plant inside there. So the first leaves are not the true leaves. When they get their first true leaves, and it seems like they're kind of strong and healthy and you can water it less at that point, then it's viable, and then you're going to put it into your maze. So I'll go over again how to build a maze. And then the materials you'll need are some cardboard boxes, glue or tape, scissors, and then the one thing that might be tricky to get is some potting soil, but you could just get a shovel and go outside and dig some dirt. Don't ruin your parents' lawn. But you can get a seedling with some seeds. You can get these now at any store or Home Depot until they close down as well. But you want to get pumpkin seeds or maybe some pea plants. Other good ones would be sunflower seeds. Now, you can't just go buy the sunflowers that you eat and spit out because those have been cooked. And so the little baby plant on the inside isn't going to grow no matter how much love and light and water you give it. So you got to get basically raw seeds, and that's what you'll buy in these little packages. So pumpkin's a good one because it's got a nice thick stem, and it's going to be this nice sturdy plant that will kind of hold itself up as it grows. Ideally, pumpkin, your sunflower seeds would be really good ones. Those are your classic germination seeds that you have probably grown inside of a little cup in your elementary classroom. So those are good ones as well. All right, so let's get started. I think the best thing to do is to get 2 boxes that are essentially the same. That way, when you build the little chambers or the little parts that the plant has to grow around, if this is the one that you use, then you just cut the sides and they are the same width as the box. And I'll show you that in a second. But any box will do. I've got all of these. They should be about 1 foot high or so, about 1 foot tall. Lots of boxes that you might have laying around for Costco would work, as well as an old shoe box would work as well. One of the big things is you got to make sure that if you are going to plant something in a cup like this, you got to make sure that eventually your maze will fit around it, right? Like this box right here, my little stovetop stuffings. If I have this seedling, I'm not going to really be able to fit that in there. It'll fit, but it's not going to be ideal. If I have a smaller box like this, then I would just want to have some sort of smaller cup or container for my plant to grow through. So essentially, the first thing you got to do, and do this as quick as you can to get your seed growing, because you know it takes 2 or 3 days to germinate. You know there's 2 stages. I'll let you think about what those are. So ideally, you have a little potting plant that has a hole in it. If you don't, you just have Dixie cups or little plastic silo cups. Just make sure that you carefully put a hole in the bottom. You want the water to be able to drain because your roots and things won't do very well if you have this puddle of water that's sitting in there. So these can be got at Costco or Walmart or something like that, Home Depot, Lowe's, and they're made to put in potting soil. Now, if you don't have potting soil, check to see if maybe a neighbor has some, because that is ideal to have potting soil. Otherwise, you could just go get a shovel or your hands and dig in the dirt and get some dirt. And you've got some seeds. Make sure that you kind of pack the soil down, because again, you're going to grow a plant. You want the soil packed down a little bit so that the roots have something to hold on to. Go ahead and plant a couple of seeds. Now, these are pumpkin seeds, so they're a little bit bigger. And so according to the directions, you want to put them directly in the middle. And then you want to cover them with a little bit of soil. And then, of course, for the first week or so, you just water the heck out of them. Get them to grow till they're a couple inches tall. And then they go into your maize. So now you've planted your seed. It's on a warm shelf. Maybe once it starts to sprout, you put a light next to it so it has a nice light source through the day. Make sure it's plenty warm. And so your seedling's growing. And then you can spend a few hours. Again, this doesn't have to be done right away. It can be done when your seed starts to sprout, or you can take your time. Also, you could challenge your siblings and your parents to make a maze and plant a plant and have a little race. If you can get all the same boxes, again, scientists would want to control their variables. So if you have the same seedlings planted on the same day in the same cup and the same species of plant growing, if you have lots and lots of boxes around that are the same size, and you make the mazes any which way you want to challenge each other, then by all means you could have a family plant maze race. That'd be amazing. And I just wanted to plant that seed with you for that idea. So if I have these two, right, then ideally I'm going to make a maze. And that maze ideally would have some sort of a base for it to stand on. So the first thing I could do is just cut off this piece. And if you have tape or glue, I think hot glue would be the best. Of course, you got to be careful of the hot. But if you have hot glue, you can essentially glue these top lid parts and glue them down to the base so that it has a nice sturdy base to stand on. This box is pretty thin, and you wouldn't want it tipping over or something like that. But I'll leave it up to you. This isn't the exact way you have to do this. But essentially, you could glue this to the base, and then you want to cut a door into the front of this, because once your plant starts growing, you're not going to be able to lift the box off of your plant. You'll kill your plant that way. So you basically want to get a little doorway for your plant, or for your maze here. And if I glue this down, then I can have this little door. It's right on the crease, so it just naturally hinges. And then essentially with the other box, again, if I cut the sides off, because I have the same stovetop stuffing box, then this is the perfect width to glue inside of here as a barrier. So I can just basically gauge my length here. And you can see that it is the perfect width so that I can plant my plant in there. And I want to make sure that all sides are taped or glued down so that essentially I will have this maze in there. I can have my seedling at the bottom after it starts to grow. Again, this cup might be a little too big, but I would want to have a barrier above the plant and then another barrier on the other side. And then last but not least, I would need to make sure that I'm careful with the scissors and that I have some sort of an opening at the top. Because again, I need a light source. I want all light blocked out from the maze except a little skylight at the top so that the plant will grow around the maze and eventually grow towards the only light source, which is going to be the hole at the top. So again, I'm not making mine. I don't want to have you make it exactly like mine. I want you to be creative. You can make your maze as intricate as many little horizontal barriers as you want. Again, I challenge you to get some siblings involved, some neighbors. Again, you probably have FaceTime and things. You could even challenge relatives across the country who are sitting at home looking for something creative and scientific to do. So go ahead and do that. Save these boxes, or next time your parents are going to the store, wouldn't hurt to have them get a couple boxes of Ritz, because those are pretty tasty for you to build your maze. So I went ahead and built my maze. It is amazing. I never get tired of that joke. So I took the 2 stovetop stuffings. Again, ideally using the same 2 boxes. Then if you cut the side of one of your boxes, then they fit perfectly the width in here for your horizontal floors, so to speak, that are going to block the way of your plant and make your plant kind of weave through this maze up to the top. They're going to be growing towards the light. As I built this, I thought of a couple new challenges. Mine's pretty bland on the outside, about as bland as the stovetop stuffing, I'm sure. But ideally, I'm going to challenge you to cover this with some colored paper or some design, maybe some pictures of plants that you can print off or you can draw, or maybe just gorgeous pictures of yourself or something. Cover this outside. So a challenge, I'll try and pick the winner of the best outside design, and then also go for the best inside design. You can see mine is pretty amazing here. The plant is going to grow up. I even have like an extra little half floor right there that they're going to have the last little obstacle for the plant to grow around before it grows out the top. And then, of course, my blue tape to close it all off. So a couple new challenges: outside design, inside design. Send me pictures along the way, or you can always communicate with me too, because now you have an SD5 email that you can use. So you have those 3x3 dots. If you get into Chrome and you go into Drive, upper right, those 3x3 dots, click on that. It's where you can get into Classroom and Drive and all those places. They've just set it up so that you have Gmail sitting there waiting for you. Your Gmail account for school is your last name, your first 2 initials, and then those last 2 numbers that you typically use when you're logging in here at school. But of course, you'll also need to put the at SD5, as in school district 5, dot K12, which is kindergarten through 12th, is how I remember it, dot MT, which is the opposite of full, MT, no, state of Montana, and then dot US, us, as in you and I, or the United States. Good luck.